Eco-Solutionaries Radio. Be a part of the solution, not the crisis. Ecology, consciousness, and solution.
Constantly in the process of self-renewal. That's something that we need to learn. The only way to achieve renewal is by allowing spirits to guide matter, not matter being the central focus nowadays with consumer corporate culture. Matter, it's all about, material profit, material gain, and there's a lot of beautiful people in the world. I'm not going to say that, but generally it's more and more going to everybody wants their own everything. And the earth, can't really handle so much overconsumption. And then maybe it can handle all the people in the world, but it can't handle the corporate pillage. Depending on material things to happiness is a sin and it's cancerous. I think that it's a terrible mistake that's been made, that's been committed, and that all of humanity will woefully suffer these consequences, and there's no escape. Basically, we have to make the shift every day, and still, even if we start making all the necessary shifts now, there's no way that we're not going to escape extremely powerfully agonizing consequences. Each human being, there's no way to escape it. So we just have to face that reality and live with more dignity each day, be more dedicated to service, more dedicated to ushering in the transformation that's necessary. It's not the question isn't that why is it important to connect with spirit. It's either we connect with spirit or we die. We need to learn to awaken the culture of service, where we recognize other people's problems and their own problems, and we just try to sincerely apply ourselves within the way that's within our reach. Some people have the knowledge, the understanding, and the access to resources to make big changes. Other people, all they can do is smile, but in that smile they lighten up someone's day, and it makes the world a better place too. Just the ability to help improve the world is a gift in the celestial realms. So when it comes to you, don't lose the opportunity to take it.
Hello and welcome to Eco-Solutionaries Radio. We need to be fully conscious human beings in order to accept free energy. And there's a lot of unprogramming one has to do in order to get to that point and understand how it's a repressed science, etc. It's something I've been pursuing as an alternative energy and taken seriously among my other colleagues who've just looked at me as somebody who is crazy or a conspiracy theorist. But if you understand what is driving the crisis of ecocide, you understand the value of solutions and looking at every single one. And I have investigated this for a long time. I've talked to different free energy scientists and inventors and experts. And I've seen the corruption inside, and I've seen the false experts placed there by the CIA. I've interviewed people who claim to be inventors and they're not, but they're actually disruptors. There's a lot of infiltrators in the free energy community, and that's really quite normal. It's to be expected because it's such a threat to the core of mainstream society and mainstream government. I know that from just interviewing people and the experiences I've had as a result, the repercussions that I've experienced targeting my health and my financial well-being, just for interviewing people and helping spread this information. So it's a very intrepid field, but it relates so intrinsically with human consciousness. And that is why these two things are equally important. And that's how deep ecology unifies these areas. The same with reunifying ourselves with ancient tribal beliefs that the North American indigenous and the South American indigenous and the Aboriginals and the Indian indigenous people all over the world share these same basic spiritual ecological wisdom with the earth and the cosmos. So this is why I've been very motivated to unite all these areas along with alternatives in the growing nanotechnology industries, which were originally created for vehement purposes, but to the disapproval of those that created it and introduced it into our society. We are coming up with some incredible free energy solutions, and I hope to interview one of these people soon on Ecosolutionaries Radio that will propel nanotechnology into providing forms of free energy as well. Basically, in my opinion, there's so many different choices that we can utilize in free energy. And with nanotechnology developing as fast as it is, because there's money for it to do that, and the reason for being originally for these negative purposes, but it can do a lot of good for humanity as well, in the free energy sense. So in that respect, it's good to watch nanotechnology and how it fuses in with solar technology, giving solar energy a lot more power behind it. And it's quite an exciting time in terms of alternative energy systems coming out. So this is also a really great reason to have this podcast and my research. And we've also got a Facebook group which is just becoming very popular and growing by the week. There's at least 5 people a day asking to join since I created the group. And I think I opened it a few months ago, and now there's already 721 members on Facebook. And basically, we just post everything there that is a benefit to the environmental crisis, things that governments ignore, things that we need an infrastructure for. And the concept behind all of this is to just raise awareness through sharing this information on these solutions, as well as exploring deep ecology and consciousness and free energy, and promoting a basic platform I set up for eco-solutionaries and pioneers, people who visionaries and inventors and have innovations that can initiate social environmental change. And this involves networking and communication to initiate global change as well as community-based change, because local community is a very powerful thing that we all need to work on and put our attention to. If we are to recreate a more sustainable blueprint for society, something that we need to focus on in order to get away from the Goliath matrix that we're up against. The only way to really fully overcome that is by focusing on your local communities and building solutions from there up to the global level. So we're also available as a group on the Full Circle project, fullcircleproject.net, and the circle is 308. So you can find us there, Eco-Solutionaries, on Full Circle Project at www.fullcircleproject.net/circle/308. That's the group. And the great thing about Full Circle Project is that it's set up to focus on nurturing local community groups. And it would be great if everybody set up a local eco-solutionary group in their area to discuss strengthening infrastructures for alternative solutions in alternative energy, wind, solar, and other alternatives. And that way you can also focus on the needs in agriculture, protection against pesticides, and encouraging organic foods, and focus on alternative education and ways to avoid unhealthy brainwashing. It's just basically looking at your local community and seeing where you can transform things, with a team of people with the same vision. And you can initiate social change. It could be from anything from transforming a piece of wasteland into a community garden to claiming land as common land and doing something for the community with it, or setting up some alternative solution to whatever issues are in the local area. And that really is part of this whole Eco-Solutionaries network. It's not just for innovators, as in, I've invented a device to do this, which will help the environment. It's for people to get together and create eco-solutionaries in their local communities. And that's my motivation, really, because I've worked as an environmental scientist for a long time, and I've been out of work a lot of that time as well, because, well, these days there's less work in conservation areas, and I think personally every single one of us really needs to devote some time to local environmental conservation and sustainability, because it is each of our responsibilities. It's not a profession that a few people should go into and then have to take on the world on their shoulders and work really hard without any results because nobody else is. It's really important to raise awareness and spread that awareness, and today most people are aware that we have an issue and the ecosystems are collapsing, and most people actually genuinely care now. People are really concerned. Even people who you wouldn't usually think would be concerned are concerned, and they may be misinformed as well, because the government publish a lot of propaganda in mainstream news, which isn't necessarily correct about the problems that we have environmentally. But the fact that people do care and they're starting to be concerned and aware is a good thing, right now, we're at a point where we cannot rely on politicians to help us protect the environment, because they don't. They're bought out by the corporations, and they change the environmental laws for the corporations who funnel billions of dollars to them, and they're just in each other's pockets. So really now we don't have any other option than to take responsibility ourselves, to take action locally and educate people and start some local project, whatever you need in your community there, and whatever you can apply yourself to. Because grassroots is the most powerful way for social and environmental change. And Ecosolutionaries.org and Ecosolutionaries Radio is all about this concept, start from the grassroots and unify globally. And we can seek more autonomy and be more powerful if we work as local communities, not just global communities that are separated, but really get to know our local community and do something positive. So that would be wonderful if everybody that listens to this is inspired in some way to do something on that level. I just want to give a shout out to my friends and say thank you for supporting me over the last few weeks. About 2 weeks ago, I lost my dog, Poppy. She's been with me for 10 years. She was the first street puppy I'd rescued in Guatemala in 2006. And we just bonded very, very closely. She was born around my birthday in March. And it's a long story anyway, but she died a few weeks ago from a very bad, fragile heart. She had a prolapsed ventricle, and it was just deteriorating very fast. So I've been going through a lot of grief with her, and I just want to say thank you to all my friends, even though they're not around me physically, have been really sweet and supportive and sending messages or calling me, and it's really great. It's funny how people respond immediately when an animal has died, a dog or a cat. And I'm sure everyone, or most people, have experienced losing a human, a member of family or a friend. It's different, but when you lose your dog or your cat, it's devastating as well. And sometimes it's just as engulfing as losing a member of your family or a friend. It's no different, and in my opinion, it really is no different. Animals are just as feeling and sentient as we are, and I think they are our greatest spiritual teachers, So it's very hard at the moment because I don't have the deep connection I had with Poppy with any of my other rescue pets, and I have rescued a lot of dogs and cats over the years, and never anything like the bond I have with Poppy. So yeah, it's been really hard, and my heart goes out to everyone else that understands that that level of grief and loss. It is terrible. But, Poppy really did teach me so much about love, unconditional love. And she was such a Buddha dog. She was a very, very strange, unique dog in the way that if you put food down for her, she would sniff it and then come over to you and nuzzle you and thank you for it. And she would do that every single time I put a bowl of food down for her. And that for me was just, amazing in itself. It was so Buddha-like, really. So enlightened, and she wasn't that interested in bones or treats. She just preferred to share love, really. And that was quite an incredible thing. And she was just amazing. She was my best friend. She knew all my secrets. We travelled everywhere together, from Guatemala, Mexico, California, Ecuador, via Peru, and then to Europe, Amsterdam, Berlin, London, up to Yorkshire, all the way down on the canals to Gloucester. She saw quite a lot of the world, and then back here to Ecuador. My beloved Poppy, she was my heart dog, and she has taught me so much, and I'm just very grateful for that. And it's very blessed experience that I got to share 10 years of her precious life with me, and to teach me about love, unconditional love, in the way that she did. I personally feel that what she has taught me is that we come here to fine-tune our hearts and souls to a frequency of love at the best training ground in the universe. It's the most challenging place to learn this in this form. And I really thank her for that. So moving on to other things that relate to consciousness and how we're all unified. I'd like to read out a piece I wrote about the human noosphere and the earth and consciousness. It's called Converse with the Universe. We are witnessing the human relationship with our perception of reality. As more and more people are beginning to become aware of their subconscious capacity to manifest our reality. This is the ecological relationship of the noosphere to the biosphere. The effect of global human thought or consciousness on the planet, the noospheric climate. The noospheric climate affects the ecology of all life on planet Earth. What we experience in life's unfolding day-to-day events, to some extent, are being shaped by our subconscious minds. It may be in the form of your worst fears or your most hoped-for dreams, your frustrations, or something that is completely surprising, but you may feel it symbolized something you need to pay attention to. Life can feel like that when you become aware of the mind relationship to matter. Obviously, environmental factors and external events are not things we can fully control. When more and more people take responsibility of their internal clutter, it may help create a more harmonious external world. If the global consensus was that we create external deformities by being unaware of our internal chaos, So to some degree, we do not have complete control over our external reality. But with mindfulness, we certainly can gather we have some mental and emotional interaction and influence with co-creating reality. Whatever we subconsciously manifest is in conflict with what we think we have to do in order to see and make something happen. We still live in our daily lives physically confirming that we only live in one realm of reality, and that most of us are totally unaware of our abilities to converse with the universe via intention and imagination. Most human beings think we are utterly powerless on a subconscious level to co-create our reality. We see reality as something we can only steer by physically going out into the world and changing it, and mentally by logistics or logistical means in terms of the nature of how we choose to communicate and conduct ourselves out there in the world on a personal or professional level, using our knowledge, experiences and skills and so on in order to earn a living or create a family, interacting with the world, physical world, for survival purposes. It is possible that the world is the way it is, and that a system of control was put in place because we have been ignorant to the nature of reality. Is it possible because we have been ignorant to the fabric of consciousness, time, and our true relationship to Earth and the cosmos, that this reality has become one that we do not all consensually agree to? We are seeing that we have had our human rights taken from us and being eroded every day. We cannot even have it or a say or physically stop others from destroying life on Earth. Others that are in power but have complete disregard for the preservation of nature or human life. Earth and her creatures are being caused much suffering and injustice. We feel powerless in the face of a world we do not agree with, because we have not yet fully realized that we can change it by becoming fully internally aware of our own power to co-create with reality. And this starts only when we hold a space to cultivate inner balance by practicing consciously being aware of our internal climate. Our garbage, our mind clutter, our mind chatter, our monkey mind. We can only then become self-empowered enough to manifest an external reality that we would prefer to live and experience, one that does not involve all this destruction and violence. The mass state of human consciousness is seen through such a restricted and programmed lens, a lens of human limitation, because we perceive reality as something caused by external events, a result of our actions, the actions of others, and other external factors such as environment, society, and culture. We very easily ignore the possibility of our own undiscovered abilities to actually use intention to manifest a more harmonious life for ourselves, for our families, our communities, other species, and for planet Earth. We are so accustomed to the bright light, parental society, and overstimulation. We are still very much infantile, emotionally and spiritually, a product of social engineering with the foresight towards corporate tyranny or corporate dependency. Yet within this prism that we do not all consensually agree to, some of us just want to stay there because becoming aware of one's own power is seen as too painful. It takes away the comforting illusions and shows us the inner and outer deformations, pain and violation. Many people are afraid to take responsibility as it requires walking into unknown territory. It requires self-sufficiency. It requires being alone at times you do not wish to be alone. It requires a great deal of courage in letting go of fears that become the comfortable armchairs for those that choose to stay in their enslavement of consciousness. Being aware of the power of thoughts and emotions as well as one's actions on reality requires a lot of daily practice and mindfulness. For example, you become aware that you are anxious before you go outside to interact with the world. Then you might witness an accident or something negative happens. And then we can be aware of future events before they happen, individually and on a mass consciousness level. This has already been proven through studies performed by academics at Princeton University as part of the Noosphere project to study global consciousness by meaningful correlations through random data. Princeton scientists and engineers discovered that people were collectively reacting to events, global events, for example, of 9/11, before they actually happened on a subconscious level. People were reacting to them emotionally. Their research has deeply investigated interconnected human consciousness on a global scale and how our interactions affect us individually, but more intriguingly on a global level of human consciousness and society. The project is ongoing at Princeton Engineering Anomalies Research Lab. You can look this up on the internet and find all the data there. And it's just directed by Roger Nelson. Very interesting. It'd be great to find out who's actually funding that, since on another level of perspective, studying human consciousness is useful for governments in many ways to find out how to control as well. Try and keep control of consciousness. Anyway, going back to the article, quantum physics and quantum physicists and other scientific research on consciousness are revealing the same evidence that we are able to sense future events and affect reality with our emotions and thoughts. The HeartMath Institute have conducted experiments specifically looking into how human awareness can affect external reality, or it could be that your state of mind and anxiety influence that external event. There really is no way of knowing to what degree either is possible, but we are seeing that we can to some degree manifest, co-create or affect our reality with our minds, imaginations and emotions, intentions and so on. We are finding out we can heal our bodies with the power of our minds, and we can heal or help heal other people and their issues, especially on emotional and physical levels, or other animal bodies with meditation, prayer, intention, empathy, love, Reiki, prana, chi, whatever you want to call it. All of that energy comes from the ether, the fifth element that mainstream academic science denies. The ether field can also generate electrical energy and is the world wide web of universal consciousness. Our perception of reality is being filtered by our experienced perception of time, which the human brain can only really perceive as linear time. On one level, it could be that everything can be accessed where we are right now. We can travel to our past from the present. We can travel to the future from the present. We are in the present, past, and future at the same time. The human mind can only perceive life occurring through linear time, but what if it's possible to move through dimensions such as past, present, and future, and even other worlds and universes using intention, meditation, and so on, as of many therapeutic practitioners witness can be done through clinical hypnotherapy or meditation practices. I've seen this on a personal level because I'm a trained hypnotherapist and I do past life regression as well as hypnotherapy. And I've seen people open up portals in the room to other dimensions and worlds, and I've felt that energy come through. So that is why I feel this is the way every fabric of reality and multi-dimensions and past, present and future can merge into one accessible field of consciousness. With intention, one can go back and work on healing past wounds and letting go of traumas, and the future can be perceived as something that we each have an opportunity to co-create by adding our individual wishes for ourselves, our families, humanity in general, the earth and our fellow species. What does being aware of all this teach us? If we want to become self-empowered and with our minds and our hearts use intention to play a part in changing a reality we are experiencing, but not consensually agreeing to, it takes a path of constant practice in balancing one's self-awareness of physically doing things to create a reality one would like to live in, from creating a life on your terms rather than the terms of society, to an alternative, more peaceful life in a more sustainable and harmonious world. One that we would all prefer to experience and live. We must all be visual of the global mass consciousness that is being socially engineered through consensual culture and media and consensually agreed science and knowledge and data. Then cultivating the awareness of communal consciousness with your kinship, your family, your soul family, your tribe, and the awareness of how fragmented and ununified human awareness is. There's so many aspects to this, and globally, the awareness that the solution to this is acts of kindness. Kindness is a currency, love and empathy, where possible in one's local community as well as globally, on a microcosm level and a macrocosm level. The energetic ecology of the internal body is profoundly connected to the energetic ecology of the earth and the universe. This is the Noosphere connected to the biosphere. Despite the World Wide Web being used as a way to thieve privacy from humanity, the internet is also showing us the unfoldment or the unfolding evolution of all of these factors involved in the awakening to the power of the human mind. Now, when I say awakening, I'm not referring to a mass awakening, because I just don't feel it's possible for the diversity or the diverse levels of consciousness on this planet to all wake up at the same time. I just don't think that's possible, because we all come from different levels of consciousness here. And there is definitely a surge in awakening to a certain level, but you also have to keep working on yourself. It's not a point you arrive to. It's a process, and it's ongoing constantly. You know, we can't just say I'm awakened and then nothing else happens. That becomes stagnation, and that's got nothing to do with awakening or developing or evolving. So when I say awakening, I don't really mean one day we're going to wake up and everybody's aware of everything that is going on and blah blah blah. I just don't see that as a reality. I'm talking about certain levels of vibrational awakenings that are occurring here. And it would be wonderful if 7 billion could wake up all at once, but I don't see it working in that way. I feel that everyone has a responsibility internally to evolve, and that is a very hard thing to ask every person or every individual to do, because most people are just too busy surviving, and especially in South America and Africa and India and very poor countries. But at the same time, I've met the happiest people who live with nature, and that's why, because they're connected. And they're already aware that the human mind is connected to ecology. So awakening to the power of the human mind and its true relationship and ability to co-create with reality, with a self-aware conversation with consciousness within the self, and as well as the etheric consciousness that we are all connected to. The existence of the internet and what we can do, build, see, create, and collaborate through it is already a mirror of the etheric field, which is already having an effect on our evolving consciousness. And this is testimony in that it's encouraging more unity through shared and mutually agreed upon empathy and compassion, as a result, to end war and suffering of other humans and other species, to end the destruction of nature. And there are millions of people reaching this level of empathy amidst the sixth greatest mass extinction. And we're awakening to the silent eco side, which was the title of my first book last year, which discusses solutions as well as the ecological collapse as a result of our current state of consciousness. And we are reacting with waves of compassion and acts of kindness to other humans and animals locally and globally as a result. Most of us. There are some that walk around that are completely zombified and don't seem to have any shred of empathy. But those of us that do are reacting locally and globally, and some of us are being shocked out of our infantile state to free ourselves from the parental system that only seeks to feed off and control us and keep us in dependence and a stagnant stasis, technologically as well. But that is backfiring because there's so much innovation that is concerned with answering environmental crisis, and that's part of where I come in to help bring that together. Our very hearts are reacting to this unagreed reality, and it is from here that the wave of consciousness will spiral onward and upward. The courage humans are showing in the wake of tyrannical ruling is incredibly deep and powerful right now. There are so many people who have lost their lives because they've just blown the whistle, or they've devoted their lives to environmental work, or they've devoted their lives to homeopathic and alternative healing solutions. Whatever it may be, there's a wave of people out there that have sacrificed themselves in the wake of this tyrannical ruling in the hope of change. And this courage is caused by our deepest internal knowledge in our hearts and souls of what is natural law, what is truly right and wrong, and the rejection of constant war and destruction that we're being fed every single day, every single year. We are so tired of it that it's motivating us to become the new bridge builders, the peacemakers, the map makers, and the seed planters. We are walking as a tribe, unified, arm in arm. While we walk into uncharted territory, we realize more and more how important love and trust is for ourselves, for our faith in our personal intuition, our personal abilities to manifest life on our terms and for the good of others. And we are learning to put more value on love and trust in our local and global communities of awakened people. I'd say of empathic people or of compassionate people, because the awakening really comes through the heart, not the mind. The spirit comes through the heart. So love and trust will be the foundations of this new emerging consciousness as we intentionally create a path or pave the way for a more advanced level of human consciousness, one that considers community more than oneself, one that considers other creatures and their well-being and our connection with nature, and what we do to nature, we do to ourselves. This emerging self-empowered consciousness is one that realizes that the belief that the external and the material world is our God has been a belief that is very flawed and has only fueled and led to this level of destruction that we're in right now in this reality. When all along connecting with God consciousness starts from working within. In order to see it and manifest externally, we must be aware of the internal in order to shift and co-create positive change. It depends on each and every one of us, realizing we must take responsibility to cultivate deeper self-awareness, mindfulness, empathy, creators and co-creators, artists in an awakened imagination of infinite possibilities. And with that, may love free us all.
Redari napolje, redari. Ljudi u crvenim majicama, odavdje, van. Ajmo svi napred, počinje show. Dođite. Vi koji ste gore na travnjaku, slobodno se spustite. Ajmo svi na noge, sad ćemo, nije ovo zahrana. Ajmo svi ovdje.
Hello, everyone. Everyone good? Um, Sorry, I'm not very used to speak with a microphone. I hope it should be okay. Um, my name is Nixiwaka. I come from the rainforest in Amazon, Brazil, and I'm living here for 4 years now. And when I came here, I didn't know any English. I didn't know nothing, actually. And the weather was crazy for me, especially the weather. But it was okay afterward. If I walk in the street with just clothes and my face not painted or not with my headdress, people think that I come from Peru, Bolivia, Mexico. But yes, I come from the Yawanawa tribe in the Amazon rainforest. I'll just put my headdress. Much better for me. Yes. I feel more comfortable. I really feel more comfortable. I would like to say just some few words in my language, if it's okay. Mansharai. Mansharai means how are you? How is it going? Nishiwakaki. Yawanawa ihuhu. Matu ui iwa. I just said that my name is Nixiwaka. I come from the Yawanawa tribe, and I'm here to visit you, to see you. I just would like to talk a little bit of nature and how nature is so important for indigenous people, especially tribal people, but also for everyone in this world. If we think really deep, I think everyone will feel something that where you came from and what this world look like now. Many things has changed all over the world. But for tribal people like me, it didn't change anything. In some countries, even in Brazil, South America, some tribes they are different. They know the language, for example, Portuguese or any other language. Some of them they lost the language, they lost their culture, tradition. But there is still many living in the same way that they used to. I just want to talk a little bit about my people. When we made the first contact with the white people, it was my great grandfather. He was 11 years old. He first saw the white man and he just ran away. The white man didn't see him, and he told our family that he saw some people, strange people, different people, with clothes, with beard, with sunglasses or glasses, and he didn't understand where these people came from, and he said, how we will talk with them if we don't know the language. So he decided to kill a deer. He went for a hunt, and he came to those white people and just threw the deer. And the white people gave him a small knife, And it was a positive contact. It was a good contact, because usually when the first contact happened with indigenous people, battles happened, lots of killing, and in most of South America it happened like that. We are glad that it didn't have any fight and nothing. Only problem was that the different kinds of disease, our shamans, for example, our people start getting ill, and they didn't understand what was illness, and the shaman did everything to heal, but he couldn't heal, and all the shaman as well was dying, because we indigenous people, we had no immunity, and for disease like simple like flu, cold, it was all new for us. But we survived, and we learned Portuguese. I was very young when I went to a city, very small town, and I learned Portuguese. That's why I'm speaking English. If you go to Brazil, Amazon, I'm quite sure you would not find an Indian person that can speak English and speak with you. And I'm really glad to be here, to be able to speak about indigenous people culture, about our tradition. We still have our knowledge with the medicine plants. Brazil, for example, is home for more than 80 different tribes that are still isolated. They even don't have any contact with indigenous people, like mine, like me. And the reason that I came to London was to learn English, first of all, and be able to speak for them, because they have decided to not make contact with the Western world. We see that when we come close to them, they run away, or they want to shoot us with the arrows and bow. And we are telling the government to protect them, to protect their territories. The first struggle that I have was to adapt here, because the weather is really cold, and it was really different for me. And then I went to school. I studied for 1 year. Last year, I found this organization called Survival International. They work with different tribal people around the world, especially in South America. And I said, yes, I have this opportunity to now I'm working with them, and I'm raising awareness for tribal people, for the protection of tribal people, especially as well in Africa, South Africa and Botswana. And it's been really great for me. It's been a really good experience. I still learning the language and the skills for my English. We still practice our culture. This is something that I would like to say, talking about we are all connected with nature. And we receive many people that from Europe, they want to visit my tribe, for example, to see how we still living. And we have this week of traditional party, and we have our sacred rituals. It's the rituals that we have our medicine plants that we use it to communicate with the spirit of the forest. We believe that in the forest there is lots of spirit. When a shaman, for example, goes to take a plant in a forest, he asks the plant, I will take you, I will use you to heal someone, because if he didn't say nothing, the plant has no effect. The plant have effect when the shaman asks to that I will use to heal my people. And right now, our forest has been disappearing because of many big projects of government, for example, mining, and logging, and it's been really hard for us to protect our forest because we think that the forest is not just important for us, for my people, but for other people in Brazil, in South America, and especially to keep this balance in the world, because I think everyone needs to have the forest protected, because it cleans the air. It's a pure air for us to breathe. I was really sad when I found out the climate change, and the climate change is we think it's something wrong with the world. Why the climate is changing? Why this lots of disaster happening in the world? We don't understand why. And our shaman says that it's because something wrong with the world. The world is like we say that it's a lack of love and understanding each other. Sometimes money it's good for many things, but it can be really bad as well. And we think that the problem is like people just want something, they want more and more and more, and there is no end. And the world is like there is no more control. What people need is more love and understand each other. We think that can be a solution to see yourself and to see other peoples, to see how they live and how we communicate with the nature and how we keep the nature alive. And that's why I'm here to talk with people. I'm actually giving some talk at school for children and tell them that how indigenous people live in the forest, and talk about how we hunt, how we fish, how we do our house, and they are all interested. They say they get really impressed when they see someone coming from the Amazon and talk with them how indigenous people live, and they ask lots of questions, and it's all interesting for them because here, for example, there is no indigenous people, but we indigenous people we think that we know how to keep this culture alive and how we can share with the outside world. And the international community, for example, the public, it was something that I found really interesting, was that people from here, from out of Brazil, most of them, I can say, they really care about the preservation of the nature and the preservation of different cultures, indigenous people. And the reason that I would like to stay a little bit more, I want to go back to my tribe and to live there the way I think is best for me. But before, I would like to say to people that we're still there, we still live in the same way, and our door is always open to welcome people and see how we live. Right now, because of the public, the international community, the Brazilian government, for example, is taking action to preserve the indigenous territory, especially those ones that are still isolated from the outside. We have some campaigns for some tribe in Brazil. For example, Guarani is a name of indigenous. The biggest population of indigenous people in Brazil is the Guarani, more than 50,000, and they have a big problem because their land is placed for sugarcane plantation and soya, and most of the community, they are living by the road. They don't have access for any support from the government, and malnutrition, even suicide happen a lot because they don't have anymore their land. And if indigenous people lose their land, it means the end of everything, especially our lives, starting with the culture. And we are saying to the government, to Brazilian government, that we want to still live in in our lands. We want to have our forests protected because forest means life, forest means our body, forest means our everything. And we live because we have the forest. It's more kind of awareness. What I'm doing in here is saying that we are in this situation, but we have this knowledge to share with the Western world. Yeah. And if you would like to know more, what is tribal people? How they live? Who are they? It's many questions. There are many questions that people would like to know, and I would like to tell you, if you would like to know more about tribal people and how they live, the importance of the rainforest for them is to mainly visit our website, survivalinternational.com, and they work with indigenous people. For example, in my tribe, we every year in October we have this festival. It's a traditional festival, and it's for 5 days. And we offer people. We have lots of different kinds of games, and during the night we practice our rituals, sacred rituals. It's called. We have this special drink. It's called the ayahuasca. It's a very strong drink, and it's a very strong drink. You can see what is life. It's starting like how seeing yourself, seeing your spirit, and what you're doing here in this world, and you can see through this ritual if you believe in this. So I believe that indigenous people. We have lots to share with the outside world, and we are always open. Our door is always open to welcome everyone to visit and to know more about tribal people. I would like just to sing this small song. It means if you are visiting someone, it's like you are going and you tell that there is this happiness. It means happiness. Kanaro cherente te, kanaro cherete te, ato no ma, ato no ma. Mahe, 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 no ma, mahe, mahe, no ma, mahe. This is when you're visiting someone, and you're going to visit your family or your friends in the house or the place. We always sing this song to say like goodbye or this kind of expression. Thank you very much for receiving me, TEDx Hackney. Yeah? I'm really glad to be here. Thank you.
In the following episode of Ecosolutionaries Radio, we will be interviewing Jason Fabelli, as I mentioned earlier, and his research on alternative energy systems that could be possible. So I look forward to that interview and sharing it with you and our discussion. And I hope you continue to listen to Eco-Solutionaries, and please do share it as best you can online to help inspire others to not feel overwhelmed and instead inspired to create change. Okay, thank you very much for listening today, and I'll leave you with some music. Bye. Eco-Solutionaries Radio. Be a part of the solution, not the crisis. Ecology, consciousness, and solution.